In order to get Cloudjumper set up as a blue water cruiser, we've had to do an awful lot of work. We've had to add a lot of things, we've had to fix a lot of things, and we've had to change a lot of things. We've had to work out where to put stuff, and we've had to begin to work out how to live on her. I'm recording this while we are actually living on here. We've even got our laundry up here in the background. And this video is essentially a summary of all those things that we've put together to try and make this happen.
On this very sunny Saturday in June, we are attempting to put the solar arch onto the boat. We have just taken off some of the old equipment, the antenna, the GPS along the side here. We've disconnected some of the wires, taken off some brackets, and now we're going to assemble our new stainless steel brackets, which Chris will spin around to show you now. Readily arranged here, and our aim is not to lose anything into the water.
No. So this is the framework for our solar panels, roughly assembled. It's not completely symmetric, but it's up. So our solar arch has not fallen off so far. We've motored around the corner. Unfortunately, we're motoring very slowly because we think our bottom is covered in seaweed. Do you have a seaweed covered bottom? Could be time for a scuba diving session. So this is where we find out if our mast is less than 23 metres high. Are we worried? No, probably not, but you never know. It's always worth finding out.
Very weird, isn't it?
It feels really odd.
Very weird.
But clearly we're not 23 metres up, so it's alright. So now all we have to do is navigate this armada of kayakers. There's a load of traffic going past where we're trying to cut into this marina. There was we thinking it'd be nice and quiet this time of night. Oh well. Not to mention, of course, there's people rowing. I think we were in Oxford there. I have no idea what job number this is, but anyway, it's one of the jobs.
Dun,
it's the
dun,
toilet.
dun.
Hopefully a new non-leaking toilet to be installed in here instead of the one that leaked. More to the point, with a lid that actually works, so that so the ladies can sit down. Important, I think. Well, so we can all sit down, really. In fact, we should probably all sit down all the time. Then we wouldn't make such a mess of the toilet. Right. Let's see if it fits. Oh, there's no floor in here. Okay. Right. Here we go. Hooray! It lines up with 2 of the holes. No, it lines up with all the holes.
Woohoo!
Bingo! Result.
Screw time!
Great. Poo time? No, screw time. And here it is. And it works. It's a minor win, but every little bit helps. Well, here we are in the yard. The deck looks pretty empty, doesn't it, without the spray hood and all the rigging. But we're there. Here's where the mast is, all laid out, ready to work on. Much easier to do at chest level than it is up in 14 metres up in the air. So these doubling plates have got big gaps at the top. You can see in here where the doubling plate doesn't really overlap. The metalwork needs replacing. So this thing is the engine water strainer. So seawater comes in here through a valve, runs through a hose, eventually up to this thing, which is the water pump. And here's the problem with the water strainer. If I grab hold of this, it's not properly fixed onto the valve. So I've got to get it off. That's why we're in a boatyard to some extent to do that. And here is the water strainer. looks a bit coppery at the bottom. It's quite old, it's bronze. It's got something stuck inside it, and it's unscrewed very easily. Hopefully I can get it to bits now. This is the spray hood that came with our boat, and it's not in very good shape, to be honest. It's got all kinds of rips and tears in it. You can't really see terribly well through some of this this transparency. It's not particularly clear, but the main problems are these holes and the fact that it's shrunk. And because it's shrunk, all these little press studs and fittings have pulled out. So we can't really put this on our boat and sail in heavy seas across an ocean and have any hope of it actually still being in place and doing its job by the time we get anywhere. So there's only one thing for it. We've got to take this thing and get it fixed. Unfortunately, it's too big a sewing job for us, so all we can do is ship it off to a nice place in Wales. We'll use this old one as a pattern and make us a new one, which is a bit of a shame, but I think it's the only way to proceed. This is a strange view of our new cockpit table, which is being assembled to replace this one, which doesn't fold up and is impossible to stow on the boat. This one will fold up, although eventually it won't be held together with gaffer tape, and it will be varnished. Hopefully this can be the home for many dinners, games and lessons for the next year. We're only able to do this adventure because we're spending money I inherited from my dad, who died very early on in 2019. And he was a woodwork teacher and a very expert craftsman and pattern maker, so I hope he'd be a little bit proud of me making this table using some of his tools and woodwork skills that he's passed on to me over the years. While the boat was in the yard, it was possible to get down underneath it and paint the bottom, which badly needed doing because the copper coat was wearing out. We filled up all the holes in the copper coat epoxy layer with some epoxy putty, sanded it off and got on with the work. Painting a boat isn't all that much different from painting your bedroom. You just keep covering the surface nice and evenly and off you go. We had to put 2 layers on this one, an undercoat and then an anti-fouling coat, and that was it. I have to say a huge thank you to my parents-in-law Robert and Jackie, who came down and helped us out for a long time, and this is Robert pretty much painting the entire boat with me. He came down every day for about a week. Thanks ever so much, guys. This is the morning after the first coat of paint. bottom is now blue. Need to sort out these transducers. Once the boat was painted, it was time to get her back in the water. Yeah. Cloud Jumper weighs about 5 tons unladen, possibly a bit less without the mast. So lifting her is a slightly tricky business, but the boatyard were perfectly happy to pick her up on the crane, carry her over a load of parked cars and put her in the water. We got chance to paint over the sections that were covered by the props while the boat was on the cradle, so that we had a completely blue hull. This is about 4:30 on the first day of our wind vane installation, and it's not going super fast. We're just making spacers and backing pads, and we've got our bit of pole ready. Kerry is just making a cardboard mock-up of a backing pad that we can put in the hatch and test for size, and then hopefully copy onto one of these nice shiny aluminium plates. So slow progress, but it's progress. In order to mount the wind vane, we have to put brackets inside the boat, or spacer plates inside the boat, which the bolts go through to lock in. And I've been making a cardboard replica of it. It has to go inside this cupboard, which is not exactly a great place to work. It's really quite hard to get down into. There's plenty of stuff to bang your head on. You can see there, that little hole is the hole we drilled as a pilot for where our cardboard spacer and eventually our backing plate is going to go. And here is the cardboard backing plate in place. So this is probably the worst working environment I have had to have on the boat so far. However, work is proceeding. Now I've got to cut the spacer plate, and then we drill some more holes in the boat. I have just the pencil line for cutting, so by way of making it easier to see, I'm going to cover it with blue Sharpie. Every time I do a job like this for the boat, I end up with tools on the dock, I end up with the boat full of tools, bits everywhere. This is what life's going to be like, constantly unpacking stuff and then packing it back away again. We're about halfway through the installation. It's kind of day 2. We've got our shaft in here and our brackets on. The next bracket is coming in. This is a temporary pole just rigged up and tied on with a bit of string. This is all ready to mount, but we've hit a snag, which is we haven't got anything we can cut the stainless steel tubes with, so Kerry's gone off to go and get some extra blades for our cutter, and we can cut a steel tube to this length and complete the installation. Well, fingers crossed anyway. More news as we get it. It seems as though some of the locals are objecting to us working on our boat. These guys have been hissing at us, so Kerry's taken refuge in the locker.
Aha. Yeah, I'm not a fan of the swan.
They're very pretty though, aren't they? When they're not hissing at you.
Yeah. We'll see. I think they're after a free meal.
They're not going to get one. We haven't got anything to eat. This is our hydrovane, and we've just spent an entire weekend putting this on our boat.
We're absolutely knackered, but
It's on. Yeah.
Woohoo!
We haven't had any dinner, and it is 10 o'clock. Time to go home. Hooray! So there's an awful lot more jobs that we did do, and I can't possibly remember all of them. But these were the major ones, and by this point we were in pretty good shape to begin moving onto the boat and begin our adventure for real. Thanks for watching.